Everyone, so welcome to part 2. This is the place where we're gonna use the high poly mesh and then make the low poly mesh out of the high poly mesh that it looks quite identical but with much less faces. So first of all, like I said, this is the high poly mesh at the moment with all the textures applied to it. So we're just gonna go up here to edit and then project configuration, and in this window you're gonna go to select, and then you're gonna select your file. I'm just gonna go out here. So then you're gonna just select your file at the moment. You're not gonna see it, but you're just gonna the one you have exported from Blender. Okay, so there I've selected my mesh, the one that I've exported from Blender, the low poly one, not the high poly, the low poly one. There you can see sandbags, low, FBX. You've selected that one. These ones can stay the same. If you want to directly import it into Unreal Engine, you may change it to DirectX. This is for Unreal Engine, but I like to put it first in Blender. It's sometimes an extra step, but there's sometimes something that I may change or finer details if I want to maybe sculpt something more or do something there. So for now I just go with OpenGL. That's for any other 3D software program. Everything here is fine. You can just disable this one, and then by the physical size I will just enable the physical size. For sometimes when I shape it, the size may sometimes be different, so I'll just do that, and then I'm happy with that. So everything is here correct, and I just say OK. Now it's gonna look like this, but remember that when you work in Substance Painter you have to bake everything before you can apply the textures. Even on the high poly mesh you have to bake it. So we're just gonna rebake this one. So up here by this, it also almost looks like a croissant or something. I don't know what shape is that, but that's the bake option, or you can go by texture settings, bake mesh materials, or you can click on that one like I said. And then in here you want to go, okay, I've put it quite high, but you can actually go with 4K. And then I also, it normally is by none, but you can go with subsampling 8x8 for better, higher definition. Especially for this low, I still wanted higher detail, that's why I put it by 8K. And then you just want to disable this one, use the low poly mesh as high poly mesh, because you want to add the high poly one, because it has to bake from the high poly to the low poly. So in this you press the plus button, not the low one, you go back to the high poly one, the one that's originally one, the one that you saw in the beginning, the high poly one, open it, and then you've got this cage. But normally if you don't see any red things, normally this will be fine. For example, let me show you what I mean by the red. If you go to the cage, if you lower the there you got the red. You see that red means it's not something is not right. The cage is lower than the message itself. So just reset it. It's back, just like I said, just make sure there's no red things in here. Everything looks fine. So that's fine. And now in Blender I told you the high and the low, the underscore low and underscore high. That's why it's important. Your naming should be the same. In here you're gonna see the name, your name should be the same, and then with the underscore low, the underscore high, that Substance Painter know which one is high and which one is low. So that's very important. Always, sometimes they always give me some problems, so I go by mesh name. There you can see my names is correct. I don't get an error. If you get an error here, it means like your naming is not correct. It has to be the same name with underscore low and underscore high. The high poly mesh is by the high, the low poly mesh is by the low. Everything is good to go. So next step, you're gonna see here is the baking options. Sometimes people recommend you also add the high just to get that extra detail, but everything looks fine. I don't miss anything, no. Okay, and then you can go down here for the bake. I put 8K, subsampling 8, so this may take some time, so I'll see you when it's done. Okay, it's done. It depends on your software, your hardware, but it can take some time, especially like I said, if you put on 8K and 8x8. So, but everything is fine. Let's go back to return to painting mode, and there is your low poly. Everything looks fine. I'm happy with the results. The only thing, but I will make a video again if I found a problem. The only thing that I found that doesn't work that well with my high poly mesh, I was doing some stamps on my sandbags that say sandbag here with a sign. For some reason, those things didn't transfer great. If we go to our UV, it's not even, you can't even see it here. I don't know where it is. So that's the only thing that it didn't transfer that good. Even in cases where I have made the perfect topology, I also have the same problem, that those things don't transfer that good. But I'm happy with the results. You got all these details. So maybe before you do the bake and you have, let me show you my text. I've got my text here. Before you bake and you have maybe stamps, just disable the text, and then on this one you can add your text, because I still can add my text here manually afterwards. But the rest looks fine, the materials is good, the detail is correct, because at the end of the day it's actually going to go more about the detail rather than some small textures. The textures you can just apply, but like I said, if I found a solution towards it, I'll definitely make a video and show you guys if I found a solution to that. But yeah, that's the only thing. So now for the export, don't save, because if you're going to save this, you're going to save it over the high poly, and we don't actually want that. You don't want to lose the high poly ones. And remember, don't save here. Just go to File and then Export, and then you can export your textures. There's all my textures, because you've got a new UV map, so you can't use the high poly UV map making textures. You have to create your own for the low poly. So that's what we're doing now. We export the textures that goes with the low poly. So in your output directory, you can put it where you want to put it. In my case, I'm just gonna put it by the low poly. That's everything, that everything is together. Maybe I can just say materials or textures, put it in there. And then for higher quality, I will go with PNG with 16, because why not? I'm not creating a game here with limited space, so I'm happy with that. Export. Okay, so save settings. No, you don't have to save, you can just export. So export, and there you go. You have your textures for your low poly mesh. I will see you in part 3, where we will just combine everything together in Blender, put all the nodes together so that you have this low poly mesh correct in Blender. But yeah, please leave me a comment if something didn't make sense, if I have to explain something again. I would really love if you guys leave me a comment, and if there's something you know that I don't know, you can say that too, I don't mind. But yeah, see you in part 3 and enjoy.